the sweet smell of vindication. So this is essentially what happens when you write a post saying that the messaging around the boosters doesn't stand up to technical scrutiny. And then that triggers some interesting debates among your circle. And of course, then there are these other fence sitters who probably have never understood the literature but don't mind offering opinions like, you shouldn't be saying such things, leave it to the experts. And then 4 weeks after my post, a certified expert in vaccines, a member of the FDA's vaccine panel no less, appears on a podcast and essentially expresses the same concerns that I have expressed in my post. So let's do a quick recap. Sometime in mid-November, the FDA updated its recommendation of boosters to all adults. And the reasoning given was that statistics have shown a few months after your second dose of the vaccine, your antibody levels tend to drop, and hence that means you're not as protected or you are more susceptible to severe outcomes of the disease. But that's the problem. Statistics are one thing, but this absolutely does not tally with what immunology says in terms of fundamentals. Let's say your body or your immune system is dealing with an infection. Then your immune system will develop the right or the specific B cells, T cells and antibodies which are necessary to deal with that invader. And it will produce these cells in large quantities, but that will be only until the infection is present. After the infection is gone, these levels are going to wane. But what the immune system will retain are copies of these specific important cells. So the next time the invader were to try and threaten you again, it can quickly start making or mass producing these and deal with the infection quickly, as opposed to the initial time it took. What a vaccine does is essentially offers the body a shortcut directly to producing these copies without you having to suffer through the entire infection to begin with. And these copies are what we term as immunological memory. Level of the antibodies is not important, it's always going to drop after the event. What is important is you have this memory that is created in the immune system for a quick response the next time, and the vaccines do their job. All the boosters are going to do is trigger another round of an immune response and boost your antibody levels again. But that is going to be temporary once again. So who would really benefit from the boosters? Maybe people whose immune systems may not respond quickly, senior citizens, perhaps. People with immunodeficiencies, sure. But everyone above the age of 18? That simply does not add up. We now come to the main part which seems to have gone unnoticed through all of this. The FDA's own vaccine advisory panel rejected the proposal of a mass rollout of boosters for the entire population. Let's understand this again. If the FDA has a set of experts who essentially devise and drive our overall health policies, the panel is a set of experts to these experts. So the vaccine panel's job is to check all the literature available, check all the data that is provided by Moderna, by Pfizer, etc., and then make final recommendations to the FDA. And they rejected this proposal. It wasn't even a close vote. If I have my numbers right, it was 16 versus 2 in terms of not having this as a mass rollout. And yet it was carried out. This finally brings us to Dr. Paul Offit. He is one of the co-inventors of the rotavirus vaccine. He is on this aforementioned vaccine panel, and I'll be putting a link to the podcast that he appeared in below. Now the discussion on boosters starts at around the 21-minute mark, and I'll encourage you to listen through the entire thing. It runs for about 13 to 14 minutes. But Dr. Offit makes a few remarks that are remarkably similar to what I have put in my post. One of the basic things is really what you're interested in, and what proves that the vaccines are a success is immunologic memory. The level of the antibodies really doesn't matter. He even goes as far as to say, if this is what you're going to do with the boosters, then be a little clearer with the public and tell them that you're using the booster only as a way of temporarily bumping up your antibody levels, and those antibody levels are going to wane over time. And that brings in an entire set of questions on how are you going to mandate how many boosters or how often you're going to offer a booster. The point is, at the end of the day, both of us are saying the same thing. It does not align with the basic fundamentals of immunology. There is one more interesting point that Dr. Offit offers in this discussion. Sometime earlier this year, there were reports about how the mRNA vaccines were not just effective in preventing severe outcomes, but in a lot of people they were also suppressing even basic symptoms of the illness. And that was being hailed as a great success of these vaccines. And he is bang on point A number of these studies were carried out in those 3 months when people had just received their second dose and the vaccine itself had temporarily raised the antibody levels. Yes, there's very high chance that your overall symptoms may be less. Those levels are going to wane. The protection is coming from the memory cells that the vaccine has provided. The overall summary is this. The FDA's Vaccine Advisory Panel voted unanimously for boosters for senior citizens as well as people who are immunocompromised. But they absolutely did not see the reason to have a mass rollout for everyone above the age of 18. It simply didn't add up. The main takeaway of this video is essentially this. At the end of the day, I'm not going to stand here and say you should or should not take the boosters. All I will do is encourage what I've been doing with all my clients in my health and fitness endeavors, which is truly spend time understanding the fundamentals. Until next time. If you've enjoyed the way Trulean presents the science behind fat loss, health and fitness, please like, subscribe and do share these videos.